What's up everyone, how's it going? So today we have another Battlefront 2 news update, and this more than likely is going to be the last one for this subject, which is really unfortunate, and that is something I want to discuss in this video. But let's jump right into it. So Ben Walk, a couple days ago on the 8th of this month, did stop by in the Battlefront 2 Discord and said, just dropping in to let you know that we're working on a small patch, should have some more info towards the end of next week, which is really good news. Hopefully it does change and fix a lot of the bugs that did come with the latest update. There wasn't too many bugs, but there was a lot of unbalancing issues that people have been made aware to the developers, and they have not really said much about them, mainly because they're not working on the game anymore. But it is good to see they are having most likely the final patch, which hopefully does balance out a lot of things. I have heard that Vader is pretty much unstoppable in this game, and I think that really has to do with his damage reduction on pretty much all of his abilities. So it is something that I hope they did look into. Also, I have heard that Grievous is an absolute beast now, because as you all know, they did change the way dashes work in this game, like his claw rush and then Rey's dash ability and all that, where it is actually controlled by the mouse or the thumbsticks on the controller. So you can basically just spin around your opponent multiple times throughout this entire ability's animation and just continuously knock them down. And so it is pretty overpowered, which is understandable. So I think they are going to look into it for Grievous, or maybe at least make it to where you can only knock down an enemy once with it and not turn around instantly and knock them down again, leaving them completely vulnerable. But yeah, it is good to see that they are working on a patch that hopefully will come out within the next 2 weeks or so. And like Ben Walk did say, the info should be released at the end of this week. I'm gonna bet like Thursday or Friday. I think we'll get a rather shorter community transmission just discussing all the patches that they did make for this update. And I am glad that they are able to release one, because I was worried for a while that before Ben Walk did make this announcement that they would only be able to do server-side changes, so they would not be able to release any updates at all for the rest of this game. But it does look like they're still able to release something. We do know that Fallen Order also got an update, but that is from Respawn, so a whole separate company. So yeah, be sure and be on the lookout for the patch notes and all that. Like I said, I'm going to try and cover them if it fits my schedule. But next up, I wanted to talk about the new community calendar for the events that are going to be coming on in this game. Now, I know I usually do not discuss this, as I feel it's something I can just share on Twitter or make a community post on YouTube. But the thing that's really interesting about this is the fact that they said this is a permanent schedule. So basically, these events are going to start on the day that they occur at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, that is my time zone, and then it will end at 6 p.m. again Central Standard Time the following day, which is pretty normal. I don't think it's ever changed. I think that's how it's always been with these events. But I'll go ahead and run through them quickly, and then we'll discuss why it's so important that this is happening. So Mondays is going to be Fast Spawn event. Now, basically, it's pretty obvious what this is. You're going to have basically no respawn time. There is a 1-second one, but there is pretty much none, because by the time you get into the respawn screen, you can pretty much spawn back in instantly. But I have really wanted this to be a permanent thing. I've never been a fan of the respawn timer at all. It is going to be coming for Galactic Assault, Capital Supremacy, Starfighter Assault, Extraction, and Strike. So no Heroes vs. Villains, Hero Showdown, or any of those other smaller game modes, which is unfortunate. But like I said, I do think that the spawn timer is a sort of useless thing. I don't think there's any real reason why it is there, because in my opinion at least, it does take you out of the immersion of the game and stuff, which is something I know the developers want to keep you in. But having to go back and wait 10 seconds, I know it's not that long, but when you're just sitting in a spawn screen, it just feels like forever, honestly, especially when it's like you're at the very last phase of a Capital Supremacy match and the reactors are about to blow up and you're just wanting to spawn back in as a Jet Trooper, but you have to wait that 10 seconds. Well, the game could pretty much end between that time. So in my opinion, I think it is important that that just doesn't exist, because like I said, it just keeps you in the battle and just keeps the game really flowing really well. I know Battlefront 2015 did not have a respawn timer, so it is something that I have been pretty public about, but it does not look like it's going to change anytime soon, which is unfortunate. But it is good that on Mondays we will have no spawn timer for those game modes at least, so at least there is something right there. But next up on Wednesdays is going to be Midweek Double XP, so that is normal. It's always been this way for a couple of months now, I believe, so that's no different. But then on Fridays, this is going to be the Battle Point event for reinforcement. So obviously lower battle point costs for all reinforcements and increased numbers allowed at a time. So this will be for Galactic Assault, Capital Supremacy, Extraction, and Strike. And then January 1st and May 4th, it is going to be the Unlimited Power Battle event, which is basically 90% off the battle point costs for everything in the game, increased number of reinforcements and heroes allowed, with fast spawn timers and double XP in effect, and this is for Galactic Assault, Capital Supremacy, Extraction, and Strike once again. And I have seen a lot of people being kind of disappointed with this, the fact that this unlimited power event is only occurring twice in the entire year. So people have been pretty vocal about it, and I do agree. I think it is a little unfortunate that it's only January 1st, which is New Year's, of course, and then May the 4th, obviously, being Star Wars Day, so it makes sense for those two, but I would have liked at least, maybe I say 6 throughout the year would have been fine. There's plenty of different holidays and stuff that they could have done this on, but the thing that really has me intrigued about this the most is the fact that this is a permanent schedule. So Scout the Trooper did make a really good point on Twitter saying that this is appearing to be like the pretty much finale for Star Wars Battlefront. There will be no more patch updates after the one that's going to come, I'm assuming, next week, like we talked about, because this schedule is not going to change at all. There's going to be absolutely no support on this game. Development-wise, obviously the servers will stay up for a while. So it is really sad to see that this is pretty much the final nail in the coffin, you could say. I remember when it first got announced that the game support was ending. I believe it was Kevin that came out and did say that, you know, events will still be coming and stuff. But I think the fact that this is a permanent schedule really kind of sucks because, you know, there is a lot of cool things they could have done, like the night event for Halloween. I think they had something for Christmas. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on that. But I'm sure there was something for all the holidays and all of that. But it appears that this is the base schedule and there's going to be basically nothing except for this, and that really is unfortunate because, especially for console players, they will get nothing new, and as fun as the game is, I do believe there was still a lot left to be desired. I'm sure you guys have seen the posts on Reddit talking about capital ships in original Trilogy Capital Supremacy, so obviously they did say a couple months ago that, you know, there will be no capital ships because it doesn't make sense, blah blah blah. Well, in my opinion, that was just a way of making it, you know, it seem why they did that, when in reality it was because they just did not have enough time to fully flesh out the interiors for the capital ships and add them to this game mode, because even though, yeah, going from the Death Star 2 to a capital ship, sure, that doesn't really make that much sense, but, you know, it is a game after all, and the point of a game is to have fun. So I don't think this was their decision to take out the capital ships. I genuinely believe that they wanted to do it because of the fact that if you go to the shadow boxes in Capital Supremacy, or it's just Supremacy now, and like Scarif and stuff, and the reflections from the water, you can see the capital ships. They forgot to remove those. I believe they're called sky boxes or shadow boxes. I'm no game developer, but there's been plenty of posts on Reddit talking about it, and they haven't really said anything about it, obviously, but that is pretty much confirmation that they did want to add that, at least for a while, but because of the timing issue, they just did not have, you know, the resources and time to add in these interiors, which really sucks because when you think about it, if they had just gotten 2, maybe 3 more months of continued support, we more than likely would have had a fully fleshed out Capital Supremacy for the original trilogy. They wouldn't have had to cut it down to the first phase only. We more than likely would have had Crate for the offline modes, which is something that really does kind of irritate me because Crate is one of my favorite maps in the game, and the only way you're going to be able to play it is through Galactic Assault, which, as you know, I'm not a huge fan of that mode, as well as the offline arcade mode, which you can't even go on the outside of it because it's all on the inside. So when you think about it, whenever the servers do shut down in this game, say 10 years from now, whenever, you know, kids are wanting to play this game, because this is a great game, this is going to be an iconic game, I guarantee 15, 20 years from now, people are going to look back at this being one of the greatest Star Wars games of all time, just like the original Battlefront 2, I guarantee it. But Crate is one of the best maps in the game, in my opinion. You're only going to be able to see it through the arcade mode, and you're not going to be able to go outside in the outskirts of it where the main action actually happens, and one of the coolest, most unique looking planets in Star Wars. So it is really unfortunate. Also, Starkiller Base, you cannot play it in pretty much any offline mode, I don't believe, and I don't even think you can play it in offline co-op mode despite it being an online co-op. Of course, you can't play it in Supremacy, either offline or online, or any of the other modes. The only thing you're going to be able to play it on is in the arcade mode, which, as we all know, is in a little section of the entire map. So it is really disappointing that if we would have just gotten, I bet, 2 or 3 months at most, then this game's ending would have been completely different, and it would have made sense, you know? So I do believe that the pandemic had a lot to do with it. I know that was pretty off subject, but it does have to do with this new calendar that really makes me disappointed that, you know, there's pretty much going to be nothing for the rest of the game. But luckily I am a PC player, so there is a ton of mods that have been out there. I'm sure you're seeing it in the gameplay right now. So luckily modders are able to do it, which is something that kept the original Battlefront 2 as alive as it was because of the mods, you know. But what sucks about Battlefront 2 2017 is you cannot make maps and stuff like that, but there's still some nice things that we are able to do that does kind of keep the game fresh. But yeah, that is pretty much going to do it for this video. I said it was going to be a shorter news update video, but that apparently did not happen because, you know, I kind of ran it off about what's going on with it. I still love the game, obviously, but it is unfortunate, and it's pretty clear that the developers did not want to cut off support so sudden. So hopefully, you know, maybe we'll get something out of this. Maybe Battlefront 3 will be announced. I'm trying to keep, you know, positive about this entire situation, but it does kind of suck. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts down below about everything in the comments. As always, if you did enjoy, be sure and leave a like on the video, as it really helps out the channel a lot. And if you're new, subscribe for more Star Wars news, gameplay, and more. And I'll hopefully see you all in the next one.